Judge Taewon Park sat tall in his chair at the front of courtroom 12 on orbital station Alpha 7. He wore the white uniform of the station's judicial system with 6 gold bars on each shoulder showing his rank. His gray hair was cut short and neat. The room was clean, white, and cold with bright lights that made everyone look pale. Park liked order. He liked rules. He had been a judge for 15 years on Alpha 7, and everyone knew he never bent the rules for anyone. The court AI's voice came through the speakers. Next case, docking violation 47B. Park looked at his screen to see the details. Someone had used an emergency docking bay without permission. This happened often. People thought their problems were more important than station rules. The doors slid open, and a woman walked in. She wore a white lab coat with patches showing she was a senior researcher. Her dark brown skin looked warm against the stark white of her coat. Her black hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and she carried a small computer pad. Dr. Hannah Kim, Park read from his screen. Xenobiology Department. Dr. Kim stood before the bench, her back straight. She did not look nervous like most people who came to court. Dr. Kim, you used emergency docking bay 12 yesterday at 2:27 in the afternoon without permission, Park said. Do you deny this? No, Your Honor, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. But I had good reason. I was bringing back samples from the moon that were dying quickly. Park held up his hand to stop her. The rules say all ships must use regular docking bays unless they have emergency clearance. Did you have this clearance? No, but I tried to call for it. The samples were for the cure to the... Dr. Kim, Park cut her off again. The rules exist for everyone. If we let one person break them, soon everyone will think they can. Dr. Kim took a deep breath. Your Honor, if you would let me explain the situation. I don't need to hear more, Park said. He was getting annoyed. Scientists were all the same, thinking their work was more important than station safety. You broke the rules. The fine is 5,000 credits. Dr. Kim did not argue, but her eyes showed she was not happy. And for wasting the court's time with excuses, an extra 1,000 credits, Park added. The court was quiet. Even Park's assistant looked surprised at the extra fine. Dr. Kim touched her wrist computer and transferred the money. The court AI confirmed, fine paid in full, 6,000 credits. Most people left quickly after paying fines, but Dr. Kim stood still for a moment. She looked at Park with calm, steady eyes. Very well, Judge Park, she said. I accept your ruling. I believe we will see each other again soon. Something about the way she said it made Park uncomfortable. It was not a threat, but it felt like a promise. Clear the court, Park said, looking down at his screen for the next case. He did not watch as Dr. Kim walked out. His assistant leaned closer. Sir, that was Dr. Kim from the pandemic prevention team. Her work is. The rules are the same for everyone, Park said. No matter how important they think they are. The next case was called, but Park found himself thinking about Dr. Kim's words. What did she mean they would see each other soon? He pushed the thought away. It did not matter. He had done his job, applied the law equally as he always did. But as the day went on, he could not forget the calm look in her eyes or her words. We will see each other again soon. It was probably nothing, he told himself. Just another person unhappy about being fined. He had no way of knowing how right she was or how soon that meeting would come. Judge Park sat in his office 2 weeks after finding Dr. Kim. The room was small but neat, with no pictures on the walls and nothing on his desk except work items. He liked it that way. Simple. Clean. By the rules. His computer made a soft sound. A new message had arrived. He tapped the screen and a formal letter appeared with the gold seal of the Galactic Council at the top. As he read, his eyes grew wider. His hand began to shake slightly. Jin-ho, he called. His young assistant rushed in. Yes, Judge Park? Park pointed at the screen. Read this. Tell me I'm not seeing things. Jinho leaned forward and read quickly. His face broke into a big smile. Sir! This is amazing. You've been chosen for the Interspecies Judicial Review Board. Park stood up from his chair and walked to the window. Alpha 7 station hung in space, with the curve of the blue planet below. He had never expected this. The Interspecies Judicial Review Board was the highest legal body in the known galaxy. Only the best judges from each species were selected. Only 3 humans have ever served on the board, Jinho said excitedly. This is the highest honor. Park allowed himself a small smile. 20 years, he said quietly. 20 years of following the law exactly as written. I knew someday someone would notice. Jinho began typing quickly on his pad. I'll make all the travel arrangements. You'll need to leave within 3 days. For the next 2 days, Park prepared for his new position. He packed only what he needed, his formal robes, legal texts, and a few personal items. He wasn't a man who needed much. The station commander held a small ceremony for him before he left. Park stood stiffly as the commander pinned a medal to his chest. Judge Park has served this station with perfect attendance for over a decade, the commander said to the small crowd. His dedication to the law has been absolute. The galaxy will now benefit from his wisdom. Park gave a short speech about the importance of rules. As he spoke, he noticed people in the back looking at their watches. He cut his speech short. The next morning, he boarded the ship that would take him to Galactic Central Hub. It was a fast ship with quantum fold engines that could bend space. Even so, the journey would take 3 days. His cabin was larger than his apartment on Alpha 7. It had a big bed, a sitting area, and a desk. Park ignored the comfort and went straight to the desk. He had work to do. For 3 days, he barely left his cabin. He studied the complex laws that governed relations between the 12 main species of the galaxy. Each species had different ideas about justice. His job would be to help find common ground. The ship's AI kept him updated on their progress. We are now passing the Orion Arm, it would say. Or we are now entering the neutral zone between Tau Ceti and Earth space. Park hardly noticed. He was reading about his first assignment. He would help review a case where a human judge had made a ruling that affected members of another species. The file didn't say which judge or what the ruling was. A perfect opportunity, Park said to himself as he tried on his new formal robes. They were black with silver trim, the colors of the Galactic Council. I will show them that humans understand the importance of proper judicial procedure. On the final day, he stood at the viewing window as the ship approached Galactic Central Hub. It was huge, a massive wheel in space with 12 spokes, one for each main species in the Alliance. Lights glowed all over its surface, making it look like a giant jewel against the blackness of space. The ship docked smoothly. Park gathered his things and straightened his new robes. This was the most important day of his career. Perhaps of his life. As he walked toward the exit, he thought again about the case he would review. A human judge who made a controversial ruling. Park felt confident. He had never made a controversial ruling in his life. He followed the law exactly. That's why he was here. He had no idea what was waiting for him. Judge Park followed a tall robot guy through the wide halls of the Galactic Central Hub. The ceilings were high, and the walls glowed with a soft blue light. People from many different planets walked by. Some looked almost human. Others had extra arms, different colored skin, or bodies made of things Park couldn't name. Park tried not to stare. He had seen aliens before on Alpha 7, but never so many different kinds all in one place. This way, Judge Park, the robot said. Its voice was smooth and friendly. The chamber is just ahead. They stopped at a large door made of some dark material that looked like wood but shined like metal. The robot touched a panel, and the door slid open silently. The Interspecies Judicial Review Board is ready for you, the robot said. Good luck. Park stepped into the room and tried to keep his face calm, but inside he was amazed. The chamber was a perfect circle with a high domed ceiling. The floor was made of polished stone with symbols from different worlds set into it. 7 large chairs sat in a half circle at the far end of the room. In those chairs sat the 7 senior judges of the Galactic Confederation. Each was from a different planet, a different species. Park had studied all the major alien races, but seeing them in person was different. On the far left sat a judge with blue skin and 4 arms. Next to him was one who looked like a large cat standing on 2 legs. The middle chair held the tallest judge, a thin being that reminded Park of a praying mantis, but with smooth green skin and large eyes that caught the light. This tall judge stood up and moved toward Park with a graceful step. Up close, Park could see the judge had no mouth, but a special device on its chest glowed when it spoke. "Judge Park, welcome," the mantis-like being said through the translation device. "I am Chief Justice Subin of the Combined Tribunals. We are pleased you have joined us." Park gave a low, formal bow, keeping his eyes down as he had been taught. "I am honored to serve, Chief Justice Subin. Today you will observe as we review a human judicial case," Subin continued. "This will help you understand our work before you begin your own duties." Park nodded. "I am eager to learn." "Excellent." Subin turned slightly. "Let me introduce the head of the Human Judicial Evaluation Committee. She will present the case we are reviewing today." There was a soft sound as the doors on the other side of the chamber opened. Park turned to look, still keeping his face calm and professional. A woman walked in. She wore the black and silver robes of the Galactic Supreme Court, the highest judicial position a human could hold. Her robes were finer than Park's, with extra silver bands at the wrists showing her high rank. As she came closer, Park felt a cold feeling spread through his body. He knew that face. He knew those calm, steady eyes. It was Dr. Hannah Kim. The same woman he had found just 2 weeks ago on Alpha 7. Park's mind raced. How was this possible? Dr. Kim was a scientist, not a judge. Yet here she was, wearing the robes of the highest court in the galaxy. Dr. Kim walked to the center of the room. She looked directly at Park, her face professional but her eyes knowing. "Judge Park," she said with a small nod. "Welcome to the Galactic Central Hub." Park tried to keep his face blank, but he felt hot and cold at the same time. His hands were sweating. "Thank you," he managed to say. Chief Justice Subin moved back to the center chair. Judge Kim is one of humanity's most respected legal minds. She has served on the Supreme Court for 5 years. 5 years? Park was confused. How could she be on the Supreme Court and also be a scientist on Alpha 7? Judge Kim also works as a field researcher, Subin continued, as if hearing Park's thoughts. She believes judges must understand the worlds they make decisions about. Now Park understood. Dr. Kim hadn't just been a scientist caught breaking a rule. She had been a Supreme Court judge working undercover as a researcher. And he had fined her. He had been rude to her. He had cut her off and refused to listen. Today, Dr. Kim said to the alien judges, "We will be reviewing a recent case from Orbital Station Alpha 7. Park felt his stomach sink even further. He knew what was coming next. Dr. Kim looked at him again, her face still calm, but there was something in her eyes. Not anger. Something else. Something that made Park even more nervous. "Please be seated, Judge Park," she said. "We have much to discuss." Park sat in a simple chair in the middle of the round chamber. The 7 alien judges looked down at him from their high seats. Dr. Kim stood at a small platform with control panels in front of her. "The case before us," Dr. Kim said in a clear voice, "concerns patterns of judicial behavior exhibited by a human magistrate on Orbital Station Alpha 7. Park's mouth felt dry. He was not here to observe a case. He was the case. Dr. Kim touched the control panel. Suddenly, the air above them filled with glowing colored charts and numbers. Park recognized them immediately. They were records from his court. "Judge Park has served on Alpha 7 for 15 years, Dr. Kim said. During this time, he has shown consistent patterns in his rulings. The charts changed, showing different colored bars. The blue bars show fines given to station security personnel, Dr. Kim explained. The green bars show fines given to administrative staff. The yellow bars show fines given to traders and visitors. The bars were all roughly the same height. Now, observe the red bars, which show fines given to scientists and researchers, Dr. Kim continued. And the purple bars, which show fines given to non-human defendants. The red and purple bars were nearly twice as tall as the others. Park felt his face grow hot. Seen like this, laid out in simple numbers, the pattern was clear. He had been harder on scientists and aliens. But he had never intended to be unfair. Had he? In particular, Dr. Kim said, we will examine a recent case. A video appeared in the air. It showed Park's courtroom from 2 weeks ago. There was Dr. Kim standing before him in her lab coat. The video had no sound, but Park remembered every word. I was in Orbital Station Alpha 7 as part of an undercover assessment, Dr. Kim explained. I was transporting samples needed for creating a vaccine against the Procyon plague. The cat-like judge leaned forward. The Procyon plague? That killed thousands on my world last year. Yes, Dr. Kim nodded. The samples I was carrying were crucial for the final testing phase of the vaccine. They were degrading rapidly and needed immediate processing. She touched another button. New images appeared showing a small container with biological material that was clearly changing color. I attempted to request emergency clearance for priority docking, but there was a communication problem. I had to make a choice. Follow standard procedure and lose the samples, or dock without permission and save them. And Judge Park fined you for this? Asked the blue forearm judge. He fined me 6,000 credits. The standard fine is 5,000, but he added 1,000 for what he called wasting the court's time with excuses. All 7 judges turned to look at Park. Judge Park, said Chief Justice Subin, was your perspective clouded by bias against scientists? Park sat up straight. I applied the law as written, he said firmly. The rules state that no ship may use emergency docking without clearance. Dr. Kim did not have clearance. But she tried to get clearance, said the cat-like judge. And she was carrying material that could save lives. Exceptions lead to chaos, Park said. It was what he had always believed. If everyone decided when to follow rules and when to break them, there would be no order. Dr. Kim looked at him with those calm eyes. Human judicial guidelines give judges discretion for extenuating circumstances, she said. The question is not whether you followed the law, but whether you've applied that discretion equally to all people. More charts appeared. They showed how Park had used his discretion to reduce fines for security personnel who had good reasons for breaking rules. But he had never done the same for scientists or non-humans. Park looked at the evidence and felt something he rarely felt, doubt. Had he really been so unfair? He had always prided himself on following the law exactly as written. He began, then stopped. For once, he didn't know what to say. Humanity was not chosen for this position because we are perfect, Dr. Kim said to the alien judges. We were chosen because humans have a special ability, we can see our own mistakes and learn from them. We can grow and change. That is our unique contribution to galactic law. Park looked up at Dr. Kim. For the first time, he saw her not as a scientist who broke the rules, but as a wise judge trying to teach him something important. The question now, Dr. Kim said, looking directly at Park, is whether Judge Park can demonstrate this human quality. Can he recognize his own patterns of bias? Can he grow beyond them? The chamber fell silent. All eyes were on Park. This was not the opportunity he had expected. It was a test, perhaps the most important test of his life. The chamber was completely silent. 7 alien judges waited. Dr. Kim stood with her hands folded in front of her. Everyone was looking at Judge Park. Park took a deep breath and stood up from his chair. His legs felt shaky, but his voice was steady. I request the opportunity to address the board, he said. Dr. Kim gave a small nod, giving him permission to speak. Park had prepared many speeches in his life, all about rules and order. But now he had no prepared words. He had to speak from his heart. For 15 years, he began, I have prided myself on following the rules exactly. I believe that was what made a good judge. He paused, looking at the charts still glowing in the air. I thought I was being fair by treating the law as something that never bends. The judges watched him carefully. The cat-like judge's tail moved slowly back and forth. But now I see something I didn't see before, Park continued. True justice isn't just about rules. It's about understanding why the rules exist and when they should bend. He turned to face Dr. Kim directly. When you came to my court, I didn't listen. I didn't try to understand why you needed to dock your ship quickly. I just saw someone breaking a rule. Park looked down at his hands for a moment, then back up at the alien judges. I don't ask you to approve me right away, he said. I ask for the chance to learn and grow. To become the kind of judge who sees people, not just rules. When he finished speaking, the alien judges began talking softly to each other in their own languages. Strange sounds filled the room, clicks, whistles, and sounds Park had never heard before. Finally, Chief Justice Subin raised a long, thin arm for silence. Judge Park, Subin said, my species once believed that absolute consistency was justice. We applied our laws the same way to everyone, no matter what. Subin's large eyes blinked slowly. We learned otherwise through painful lessons. Different beings have different needs. True justice sees those differences. The blue judge with 4 arms spoke next. As did my species. We once had laws so rigid that they became cruel. We had to learn flexibility. One by one, each alien judge shared a similar story. Each species had learned, sometimes over thousands of years, that justice needed both rules and understanding. Dr. Kim stepped forward into the center of the room. The real test was never about having a perfect record, Judge Park. The test was about your ability to see your own limitations and grow beyond them. That is the quality we seek in humanity's representative. Park felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, hope mixed with humility. He had much to learn, but for the first time in years, he was ready to learn. Chief Justice Subin stood up, towering over everyone. We have reached a decision. Judge Park will serve a probationary term on the Interspecies Judicial Review Board. Dr. Kim will serve as his mentor during this time. Later that day, Park and Dr. Kim walked slowly through the observation deck of the Galactic Central Hub. Huge windows showed the blackness of space and millions of stars. 3 different colored moons hung in the distance. They stopped at a viewing platform. Park had been quiet, thinking about everything that had happened. I don't understand, he finally said. Why did you select me for this position if you knew about my flaws? There must be better judges on Earth. Dr. Kim smiled for the first time since Park had met her. Because, she said, humanity's greatest strength isn't that we're perfect. It's that we can see our mistakes and learn from them. We can change and grow. Many species in the galaxy cannot do this so easily. She pointed out at the stars. That's what makes us valuable to the galactic community. Not our perfection, but our capacity to become better. Park looked out at the vastness of space, at all those worlds with their different peoples and different ideas of justice. For the first time in his life, he felt the rules he had followed so strictly were just the beginning of wisdom, not the end. I have much to learn, he said. Yes, Dr. Kim agreed. We all do. That's what makes the journey interesting. Park nodded slowly. Tomorrow would be his first real day on the board. He would listen more carefully. He would try to understand before judging. He would bend when bending was just. It would not be easy to change after so many years, but as he looked at the stars, Park was ready to begin. The end.